What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and thank you for watching another video. I really like to relate to my audience. I want to show you guys today 5 mods that you could do for your Volkswagen and Audi for under $500. This is just my opinion, but I really feel like these 5 mods that are pretty cheap to do will definitely make the biggest impact on the car, from performance to aesthetics to the interior. Let me show you what I think and let me know if you guys have anything different that you can do for these cars for under $500. Number 1, we're going to be starting under the hood in the engine bay. There are 2 specific mods that you guys can do that is going to be under $500, and let me start with the most obvious one, and that's going to be a cold air intake. Now, the amazing thing about the intake is that it's a mod that will make the engine bay look a lot nicer, and it'll give you a lot more turbo noise, and it'll make the car sound amazing. One of the number one things is, car guys, when we have turbo cars, you want to hear the turbo spool, you want to hear that blow off sound, you want the car to be as loud as possible, you want to hear the induction noises. So an intake is one of the first places that you can start when you have a Volkswagen and Audi. Personally, I'm running the APR open carbon fiber intake. I love it. It is a nice, really great sounding intake. I definitely recommend it to anybody that wants something that looks amazing as well as sounds crazy. Let me put a sound clip in right now so you guys know exactly what this sounds like. Now, you can find a really nice intake for under $500. This APR one is about $400. I used to run the CTS cold air intake, which was like $300, something like that, which is very affordable to make the car sound good and make the engine bay look a lot nicer. There are other brands too that sell really quality stuff, like IE. They have a really nice intake for these cars. Obviously, there are some intakes that are going to cost more than $500. One that comes to the top of my head is Cobb or Racing Line. Their full intake is like $600 to $700, if I'm not mistaken. So there are really nice options out there for more than $500, but if you're looking for something on a budget, I definitely recommend the APR one. That's really nice. Or if you're looking for something cheaper, like I said, you could do IE, you could do CTS. It'll give you the same great turbo noises as well as, like I said, aesthetically make the engine bay look a lot nicer. So mod number 1 for under $500, I definitely recommend an intake. So mod number 2, guys, we're going to stay under the hood, and it's going to be the same thing with the intake system. It's going to be your inlet pipe. An inlet pipe is huge, guys. The stock one is completely restrictive. It's very skinny all the way through. Let me put a picture of a stock one on the screen right now. And as you can see, it's a nice, like, small, little brittle piece of plastic that over time just goes bad. And honestly, that's one of the things that you need to upgrade right away. Like I said before, it'll increase your throttle response. It'll sound a lot better. The car will feel a lot peppier. There are so many different options out there that you can get that are very affordable, very cheap. Right now, I'm running the MST inlet pipe. And the cool thing about it is that it is a big inlet pipe. And I'm not sure if you can see it. Let me try and brighten it up for you guys. But let's see if we can see it down there. There it is. As you can see, all there. And it comes with a nice intake hose as well. So it's a full, complete kit. And it looks amazing, it sounds good, and is super responsive. Now, the MST inlet pipe that I'm running, I think is totally worth it. It's about like $200, and it comes with the whole silicone intake hose as well as the inlet pipe, so I don't think it's that bad of a deal for the price that you're paying. But if you want something a little cheaper, you could get like a CTS one like I used to run. That one only runs you like $80 to $100. 034 Motorsports has a really nice one. That's like $100 something. So it makes a big improvement, guys, on the way the car feels. It makes it a lot peppier, like I said, and the throttle response is definitely better. And let's say you only got the inlet pipe and didn't get an intake, you'll definitely hear more induction noise even if you have a stock intake. So it's a mod that's super cheap and definitely worth it. There are so many different options out there. Like I said, APR sells one, CTS 034, IE, the MST one like I have. There are so many different options out there. All of them that you find out there will be under $500. Like I said, this one comes with the silicone intake hose as well as the inlet pipe, and it's around $200, which is worth it. But if you want something cheaper, there's so many different options out there. That's the second mod that I recommend under $500. All right, so now we're in the interior of the car, which is where we spend the most time of. Obviously, we drive the car. We're in the interior probably 80-90% of the time when it comes to enjoying our cars and all that stuff. And the one thing I recommend, and this will go for both the DSG guys and the manual guys, is if you're DSG, I definitely recommend you get some upgraded paddles. Now, you don't have to get these expensive ones from Racing Line. These were like about $200. You can get some extensions that go on the stock ones. Now, the reason why I recommend this is because the stock paddles are so small. So when you're doing some fun, spirited driving, sometimes you may miss it, or it's like very hard to kind of get into a nice position to click them. Maybe you're not comfortable with where you have to have your hand if you're using them. So the good thing about having extended paddles is you can come all the way up here. You could click it right up top, you could click it here in the middle, and if you want to rest your hand down below, you could even click it down here at the bottom, and it'll respond no matter what, and that goes for both sides, obviously. But you guys could get extended ones as well that just clip onto the stock ones, like I said, and those would only run you probably like $50, $60. There's even some stick-on ones online that you could find for probably $20, $30. Like I said, I like the Racing Line ones just because it's a direct replacement. You completely remove the old OEM one and you put this one in its place, and it's screwed in so that obviously it doesn't come off. The double-sided sticky tape ones, I don't know, I guess over time maybe they might get a little loose or whatnot, but these look really nice, and they definitely match the interior trim of my car, which is what I like as well. So it matches everything on the interior. Now, guys, if you are manual, I do recommend, just to go hand in hand with these paddles, definitely get an upgraded shift knob because it'll improve the feel of driving 100%. Sometimes the stock shifters and the stock knobs just don't feel 100% amazing. So I have, this is DSG obviously, but I have the BFI nice knob here that just looks really nice with the interior, but they also sell stuff for the manual transmission cars. They're weighted, they feel really nice. It'll make the shifter go into gear a lot smoother. So I definitely recommend, if you're manual, you go and you buy some sort of weighted upgraded shift knob. It'll make the driving experience 10 times better, and obviously all of these things you can find for under $500. So that's going to be mod number 3 that I recommend. That would be under $500. If you're DSG, get some upgraded paddles. No matter what they are, just get some nice upgraded extended paddles, and if you're manual, get yourself an upgraded weighted shift knob. So we've done a couple of performance things. I showed you stuff on the interior. Now let's get to the aesthetics of the car and what can make the car feel so much better while driving and look better at the same time. So the first thing that I'm going to recommend is that you do some kind of suspension mod to the car. Now, obviously suspension on most cars are pretty expensive if you do coilovers, air suspension, but if you do something like lowering springs, you could get a good quality set of springs for somewhere between $200 and $300, which I highly 100% recommend because A, it's going to completely eliminate your wheel gap most likely, and then B, the car is going to feel a lot sportier and it's going to handle a lot better. Now, let me show you my car. Obviously, I'm not on suspension yet. I'm still waiting for mine to come in the mail, but at the end of the day, when I do my suspension, it's going to make the car look so much better, guys. So as you can see, the wheel gap isn't terrible stock when it comes to these cars, but I definitely want the car to be lower, and getting the springs that I did order, the adjustable custom springs, is going to make the car look a lot better. The car's going to handle a lot better as well, and it's just going to look so much nicer. I'm going to put a couple of pictures on the screen right now of S3s and Golf Rs lowered on springs so that you guys can see how much better the cars look. And as you can see, just a simple mod like that makes a world of a difference when it comes to these cars. And any kind of car, it's not just these cars, any kind of car, it's definitely a mod that's 100% worth it, that's going to be under $500. So my fourth recommendation for a mod under $500 is going to be lowering springs. It's going to make a world of a difference. Now, going hand in hand with the lowering springs, the thing with these cars is that the stock wheels are super small for how big the wheel well is. So when you lower the car, the wheels like to get sunk in a lot. And honestly, it doesn't look great because the stance of the car is kind of off. So one thing that I definitely recommend, and this is going to be number 5 under $500, is to buy a flush kit for these cars. Let me show you, even with the car at stock height, you can see how much the wheel gets sucked in. I mean, look at all that space between the wheel well in the rear and how much the wheel goes in. When you get a flush kit, it definitely pulls the wheel out a lot more, and it makes the car sit a lot nicer and a lot more squared out, which is what I want, and which is what you guys should want if you're lowering your car. Even in the front, you could see. So there's a lot of companies that do sell flush kits for these cars that'll make the car sit perfect, especially when you lower them. It's a spacer kit with extended lug bolts so that you guys can have the car sit as flush as possible. So I definitely recommend the flush kit, guys, especially pairing it with the lowering springs. It's going to look amazing. The stance of the car is going to be so much better. It's going to just aesthetically look as good as it can with stock wheels on it. Obviously, wheels and tires are a little expensive, so keeping the stock wheels but making them look the best they can on the car is obviously the goal. And these flush kits are only like $120, and they come with everything you need, from the spacers to the extended lug bolts, and that's for all 4 corners. So I definitely recommend a flush kit as the 5th mod that you should do under $500, because pairing that, like I said, with the lowering springs is going to make your car look so much better. It's definitely worth the money. So that's going to be number 5, is the flush kit. So that's going to conclude the 5 mods that I recommend you guys do for these cars for under $500. Now, there are a lot of different things out there that you guys can do, but this is my personal way of modding I would go if I had a very specific budget. So I definitely think this gives you the best performance to driver feel to aesthetically pleasing that you can with these cars. Now, again, like I said before, guys, you'll get the awesome intake noises from the turbo. They sound awesome. If you go to the interior and you do your paddles or your shift knob, you'll get that extra driving feel that you want because you spend so much time ripping the car and having a good time. And then doing the springs and the flush kit together will really make the car have some nicer stance, and you'll eliminate your wheel gap so much more and make the car just look so much better. If you guys have any other recommendations of mods under $500 that you would recommend over the ones that I mentioned, please list them down below in the comments. Modding these cars are expensive, guys. Tuning is expensive. Wheels and tires are expensive. Like, tuning, you're going to spend over $1,000, so that's obviously something that most of us would have to save for. Wheels and tires as well. You could get a nice set of wheels for, you know, around $1,000, and then if you want to get really good tires, you're spending $800 to $1,000. There's $2,000 right there, right off the bat. And if you want to go even crazier, full exhaust, downpipes, things like that, the price goes more. You could probably, for example, just find a downpipe under $500, but most of you, I would say, probably couldn't install it yourself if you don't have the right specialty tools, or it's hard without a lift, and if you have all-wheel drive, you have to disconnect the drive shaft, so you're gonna have to spend on labor, so that gets expensive. So I really feel like the ones that I mentioned in today's video would probably be some of the best places to start. But again, if you guys have any other recommendations, let me know in the comments below. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It lets YouTube know that I'm doing a good job, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.